Subscribe to LearnCap and hit the bell icon to get notified.
Welcome back. How is the study going on? Studying well? How is company law going on? We have already passed through major concepts, fundamentals of company law, how it has evolved, why it has evolved, right? Studied well? You should be knowing all fundamentals of this company law, how it evolved across the globe and how it is evolving in India, right? Okay, if you remember what we discussed earlier, there are two fundamental reasons for which company form of business was created and it became quite popular over a period of time, right? Even now it is the most preferred form of company, most preferred form of business organization is company form of organization. Why? You know, there are two reasons for which company form of business became so popular. One, limited liability. The second, possibility of raising money from inner circle or extended inner circle or from public at large, right? So if our project is too big and requires big money, yes, there is a possibility to raise money from public and invest in the company form of the business. Now, the first reason that limited liability protects the shareholders, the promoters and shareholders who invest into the company, and their liability is limited to the extent of their investment. So tomorrow if company had to shell out more money than it has for to creditors and other liabilities arising out of various reasons, shareholders are protected and beyond whatever they have invested, they will not be touched for. Of course, in case this limited liability concept is abused and there is a malified intention to cheat the creditors, then this concept will not protect. Then what happens? The corporate veil will be pierced, it will be lifted, and the people behind the curtain will be made responsible without any limitation. Automatically, the limited liability goes off, and the people who are responsible will be made unlimitedly liable for compensating everyone who got cheated because of their malified intentions. That's about the first part, a limited liability part. The second part, the possibility of raising funds from public. Now, this chapter deals with the second part of raising funds. Raising funds can be done in two ways that we discussed already, own funds and loan funds. Now what we are talking is about own funds, that is by issue of shares. How to issue shares, what kind of issues are possible, etc. Okay, shares are part of securities. What fundamentally companies issue is securities. What securities means, that we deal with after a couple of slides. Right now, companies issue securities. What kind of companies issue securities? Public companies and private companies. Fundamentally, there are only two kinds of companies, public companies or private companies. Both companies issue securities for its capital. Public companies can have three categories of issues. One, public offer, where it offers shares to public and invites public to invest money into it. The second, private placement. In private placement, what happens? It is not open for public. It is placed privately to one person or group of small group of persons or companies for investing money into the company. It is not open for public. That is the crux of it. The third category comprises of different kinds of issues like rights issues, bonus issues, ESOPs, etc., which we have already dealt with in the previous chapter. Okay, coming to private companies cannot go for offering shares to public. That is a fundamental condition, right, for incorporation of private companies. So they can go for only two categories of issue of shares. One, private placement. The second, rights, bonus, ESOPs kind of issues. These two are the only possibilities for private companies. public offer can be made in two ways. IPO, which you might have heard quite frequently. Second one is FPO. IPO is initial public offer. The second one is further public offer. So, first time if a company goes and makes offer to public, that is called as initial public offer. All further issues are further public offers. That is the only difference. Now, IPO can be for fresh issue of shares. It can be offer for sale as well. What is this offer for sale? Fresh issue and offer for sale. We will deal with that. I have some topics noted for that. We will discuss further. FPO also can be through fresh issue or offer for sale. Now, private placement and public offer, let us understand the meaning of these words and then get into details of both public offer and private placement. Okay. Public issue involves a detailed procedure to be followed. Why? Public at large are involved. Therefore, the communication needs to be very precise and inclusive of each and every aspect required to be known for a person before investing. Therefore, public issues involve a detailed procedure to be followed. In case of private placement, it is relatively simpler because the investor is an identified investor and he will get into the details of the company, he will study the business, he will have one-to-one talk with all concerned persons in the business. So, he will take effort to know all aspects of the business. But in case of public companies, it is a common man who may not understand many of the nitty-gritties of business or finances who is going to invest. Therefore, the details which are required for an investor has to be given upfront for the person who is investing through public offer. Now, moving further, Chapter 3 of the Companies Act 2013 deals with prospectus and allotment of securities. These two aspects. This chapter is divided into two parts, public offer and private placement. These two are the chapters here. Only public companies can issue shares to the public. Private companies can issue shares to private individuals or persons. Okay. Moving further, section 23 we should see. We said securities. I told you, no? Securities I will deal with in another slide. Here is the slide. A company, whether public or private, may issue securities. What is security? Security means the securities as defined in Section 2, Clause H of Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956. So, for understanding what securities means, Companies Act is not enough. We have to move to Section 2, subsection H, Clause H of Securities Contract Regulation Act. Let us go to that. Securities is an inclusive definition here. Securities include shares, about which we will be dealing in detail in this chapter, scrips, stocks, bonds, debentures, debenture stock or other marketable securities of the like nature. What is marketable? That means something which can be sold or purchased in the market. In or of any incorporated company, that's important here, or other body corporate. Body corporate includes companies which are incorporated outside the country, and incorporated company, when we say, it is basically companies incorporated in India. Yes. Derivative. Securities includes derivatives. What is derivative? Derivative itself is not an asset, but it is a derived asset. Shares are assets by itself, but derivatives are not assets by itself. If you want to understand a little bit about derivatives, derivatives are like an option. I will give you an example. As on 31st December of 2018, I have made a contract with my friend to buy 100 shares of company XYZ from him. My wish is maybe by 31st December shares may fall down. Today it may be quoted at 500 rupees, and on that day it may come down to say 300 rupees. I am guessing something. So I will enter into contract today and I will buy the shares as on 31st December 2018. Okay, now I have got a right to buy, an option to buy. So if I don't exercise options, maybe I will lose out some option money or reservation money or whatever, but I will not incur any liability. Okay, this is the right. Now I want to sell this right to someone else. This is not an asset. This is a right to buy an asset. But this right itself, I would like to sell it to someone. So that is a derivative. Now this derived asset, derived right, I am selling to someone else who will buy this from me by paying a premium. Then what? The other person who is buying this derived asset will have a right to buy those shares as on 31st December 2018. This is it. That is derivative. Moving further, units are any other instrument issued by any collective investment scheme to the investors in such schemes. What does it mean? The wordings look like as a kind of puzzle, right? Units are any other instrument issued by any collective investment scheme, mutual fund for example, to the investor in such schemes. So in mutual funds you might have heard that units are being issued to the investors. That's it. That's about it. So units are any other instrument issued by any collective investment scheme to the investor in such schemes is a security. List is not complete. It is continuing. Security receipt. What is a security receipt? Security receipt are the units or any other such instrument issued to the investors under any mutual fund scheme. Right. So in the previous definition, what I said, units are any other instrument issued by any collective investment scheme to the investor in such scheme is a security, right? Now in case of mutual funds, they do not issue share certificate. If I am buying shares, I get share certificate. But if I am buying a mutual fund unit, they will only issue me a receipt, that is security receipt. They will not issue share certificate. Okay, that is about it. So this is defined under section 2 of Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Securities Interest Act 2002. Okay, moving further. Any certificate or instrument by whatever name called is also a security which is issued to an investor by any issuer being a special purpose distinct entity like special purpose vehicles created for implementing a particular project. That is called special purpose vehicle. That company has issued the investor a certificate or investment pertaining to what? Which possesses any debt or receivables including mortgage debt assigned to such entity and acknowledging beneficial interest of such investor in such debt or receivable including mortgage debt as the case may be. So now when we are investing some money into it as debt or receivable, then the investor will have a share in that. So that instrument which certifies that I am having that interest itself is a security because it secures my interest in that. That's why it's a security. Moving further, government securities for investing into government projects, such other instruments as may be declared by the central government to be securities. And rights or interest in securities. Any rights or interest in securities can also be called securities. Alright, these are all a part of securities. Now we deal more with shares in this chapter. Shares is a kind of securities. Now explanation 23 states that, explanation 2 section 23 states that public offer includes. So this gives an inclusive definition and not an exhaustive definition. Public offer includes initial public offer, that is IPO, further public offer, that is FPO, to the public by a company, or an offer for sale of securities to the public by an existing shareholder. Existing shareholders also can make a public offer for liquidating all his holding. So there is a possibility of this through issue of prospectus. So that means for making a public offer, it is very much required to issue a prospectus. So public offer can be made only by issuing prospectus. Okay. Now moving further, private placement. Let us understand what it is. Explanation 1 to section 42 defines private placement. So private placement is an offer or invitation to subscribers to subscribe or issue of securities to a select group of persons by a company other than by way of public offer. This is fundamental here. Through private placement, offer cum application which satisfies the conditions specified in this section. Of course, section 42 gives detailed step-by-step process and then requirement of making a private placement. This offer cum invitation should comply with all those conditions, then only it can be called as private placement. What are the applicable laws? Not just for public offer or private placement, in general for issue of shares, what are the applicable laws? For listed public companies, Securities Contracts Regulation Act is applicable, SEBI Act is applicable, Issue of Capital and Disclosure Requirements Regulation 2009 are applicable. These three are the applicable laws for listed public companies. Private companies is quite simple, just Companies Act, you have to comply with Companies Act, is fine. Companies Act is not appearing under listed public companies. Is it not applicable? Definitely it is applicable. There is in addition. Okay. So for listed public companies, this entire set is applicable. But for private companies, only Companies Act is applicable. Right. What authorities are relevant in various processes pertaining to issue of shares? Yes, CG, central government, SEBI in case of public offers, ROC for various filings and sometimes for orders, etc. Tribunals for certain specific executions and orders. So these four are the relevant authorities who deal with issue of shares, maybe to public or for private group of people. Now we get into another very important aspect, prospectus. Prospectus means what? Let us understand the concept first before getting into the section. Prospectus is a printed booklet. While joining your course, did you get a prospectus? Yes? Right. You would have gone through the prospectus, what this course is all about, and then you might have gone through the various stages of the studies. First level, second level, third level, what is the syllabus, what are the subjects, what are the topics, what are the options, what kind of training, what kind of so many details, so much of details were there in prospectus, right? That was for your education, that was for entering into a course. Here, for entering into the company by investing money. So prospectus is a fundamental document giving details of share offer for the benefit of investors. Legally mandated document, it is a legally mandated document published by every firm offering its securities to public for purchase. So this is the general definition. This is a set of papers or documents which are published by every firm offering its securities to public for purchase. That is prospectus. Now let us get into what section 2 subsection 70 says about it. Prospectus means any document described or issued as prospectus. Super definition, right? Any document described or issued as prospectus. Good thing is it doesn't stop here. It continues and includes what? A red herring prospectus. Again, you have to find another definition for it. Okay, we will deal with that in detail. For the time being, just remember the word red herring prospectus referred to in section 32 or shelf prospectus. One more technical word. Okay, keep it in the memory. We will deal with that a little later. Shelf prospectus referred to in section 31 or. Now comes general part. Any notice, circular, advertisement or other document inviting offers from the public for the subscription or purchase of any securities of a body corporate. So, this is a document which invites public to invest into the company. That's the fundamental sutra, we can say, formula, just to understand what a prospectus means. Now let us get into little details of nature of prospectus. What is the nature of a prospectus? Yes, we know that this is an invitation to public by or on behalf of a company or in relation to an intended company. So, company is not even formed. However, even before forming, I would like to invite public or invite my inner circle people to invest into the company. For inviting public, I have to incorporate a company which should be a public company, then it should get listed, then only it is allowed. But for inviting my own relatives or friends or inner circle people, I don't need to have a company. Even before that, I can request many people to invest into the company and then incorporate a company. So, this is an invitation on behalf of a company or intended company to subscribe or purchase securities of the company. That's prospectus. Whether exchange offer can be called a prospectus, let us see that. In 1956, Government Stock and Other Securities Investment Company Limited issued a circular, see the word used, circular, to the shareholders of other companies, to acquire their shares held in those companies and issue its own shares in exchange of those shares. A very innovative idea, it seems. You have shares of 10 companies, you sell it to me. In exchange, I will issue shares in my company. What a wonderful idea, 1956 idea. It went to the court. Somebody questioned, because that communication did not give all the details which should have been given in a prospectus. So, somebody questioned it in the court. Then the court held that that circular was a communication and not a prospectus, because there was no public issue at all. No public issue. Circular did not involve an offer for the purchase of any shares. It is an exchange arrangement, not an offer for purchasing shares. The shares in question were unissued shares of a new company, so that they could not be subject of an offer for purchase of shares. Share must be there, available, then only you can sell it or issue it, right? So, there are no shares available. Only when exchange offer is accepted, this guy will create shares and then issue. So, in no way that circular or communication can be considered as prospectus. That was the decision of the court in Government Stock and Other Securities Investment Company Limited versus Christopher. Advertisement in newspapers. Advertisement in newspaper to invite application for purchase of remaining shares of a company. Is it a prospectus? It is a prospectus. Directors were penalized for not complying with the requirement of filing a copy thereof with Registrar of Companies, because they issued an advertisement inviting public for purchasing remaining shares, unissued shares of their company. So, court held that this complies, or this all the attributes are the attributes of a public offer. So this advertisement is a prospectus, and you have not complied with all the rules, regulations pertaining to prospectus. Therefore, directors are liable. 1925 case. Oh, this man has come now. There is a question. What is the question? When you say invitation to public, okay, whom are you referring to? What is the question? Who is public? That's interesting. Who is public? We have been discussing public offer, but who is public? Are you public? I am public? What public means? What do you think? You have got 10 seconds time. Sorry, not 10 seconds. Okay, 10 seconds time. Tell me, who is public according to you? Your time starts now. Who is public? Is there a notification to say that XYZ are public? Your time is up. Who is public? Let us get into some of the case laws or some of the definitions, if at all it is there. Let us see. In 1911, South of England Natural Gas and Petroleum Company Limited distributed 3,000 copies of a document in the form of a prospectus among the members of certain gas companies. This is into gas manufacturing. So this company distributed 3,000 copies of a document in the form of prospectus. Of course, it gave details of issue of shares, but it was issued only among the members of certain gas companies. Now, whether the people who received this document can be called as public, can we take a criteria like it is given for 3,000 people, so they are public, but it was issued only for a select group of individuals. Which is a select group? Employees of certain gas companies, specific for a group. Irrespective of the number, it is not for public, right? They did not do it for in general for everyone, open for everyone, right? Can still, just based on number of people who received the document, can we say that this document was issued to public? Was the question. What is the answer? It was held that the document so sent and distributed was a prospectus to the public. It was a prospectus issued to the public. How come? We did not offer it to anyone and everyone in the public. We have issued it to a small group of individuals who are specifically employees of certain gas companies. So for this, court gave a reasoning. What is the reasoning? Public is a general word and includes any section of public. This is the turning point. Public, when you say, it can be a section of public as well. That's the turning point there. If a document inviting persons to buy shares is issued, for example, to all advocates or all company secretaries or all chartered accountants or all cost accountants, like this, still, or to all Indian citizens or to all shareholders in a particular company, it will still be deemed to be issued to the public within the meaning of the Act. So here, in that section of public, you don't have one-to-one relation with the issuers and issued persons, right? You have identified a group. That group is a section of public. So when you are issuing it to a section of public, it is a public offer. If you are issuing to one-on-one basis within the known circle or extended known circle, then it would have been excluded, but here it is not so. So you have identified a group of public, section of public, and issued it. So public includes section of public also. Now let us go to the next slide. Offer to buy sent to one's kith and kin. cannot be considered to be an invitation to public. Now we can understand this, right? This was already decided in Ratan Singh, and we also understood this point very well. Then, this is another very interesting case, Nash versus Linde. What happened in 1929? A company sent out several copies of a document marked strictly confidential, containing particulars of a prospectus, particulars of proposed issue of shares, accompanied with application form. See, application form is there. This application is for applying to invest in the shares of that company. That's what it is, right? Accompanied with the application form, the document was passed on privately. See this line, this is very important. The document was passed on privately through a small circle of friends of the directors. They did not advertise it. They did not announce it. They did not made an advertisement in radio or television or wherever. Of course, internet was not popular in 1921. It was not there for public use. So, it was circulated with highlighted wording strictly confidential to a small circle of people who are basically friends of the directors. Nash is one of those guys who got this offer. He applied for certain number of shares in the company on the basis of the document sent to him by Linde. Linde is a managing director. This Linde sent to him because he knew this guy. Okay, then what happened? Because of some information which was not there, at a later stage, Nash filed a suit claiming the loss sustained by reason of omission in the document. His contention is that this company did not make a mention of ABC facts which were already there, known to directors. Since the document which he receives is a prospectus, they should be punished, directors should be punished. Now, he contended that the document was issued to the public and the document should be treated as prospectus, and he should be compensated for the misleading information or not giving certain information there. Okay. Now, court examined the situation, examined all the documents, and then held that the public is of course general in the word. Yes, of course it is a general word. No particular number is prescribed, correct? Even if it is 10 people, if it is made public, means it can be 10 people also. It need not be like 3000 or whatever. No number is prescribed. Anything from 2 to infinity may serve the general definition of public. However, the point to be considered here is that the offer as such is to be open to anyone who brings his money and applies in due form, whether the prospectus is addressed to him on behalf of the company or not. This is fundamental. You see, it is open for public or for particular section of the public, whether it was given to him personally by the company or not. It is open for him to go and file the application for investment and then buy shares. So it should be open for everybody. But here, in this case, it was not open for everybody. It's a private communication. So it is not open for anyone to come and apply. How can he claim that it is a prospectus? It was not. It doesn't construe to be a prospectus. That was the conclusion, and suit was dismissed. Aha. Okay. Now let us take a break and then get energized again, come back and continue many more interesting matters pertaining to issue of shares. Okay, thank you.
Subscribe to LearnCap and hit the bell icon to get notified.